So I'm starting a new series here on the channel where I just kind of rant about things that are on my mind. Nothing too crazy. I'm just going to be talking about things that I'm thinking about, and maybe also making videos where I, talk about things that people request or something like that. Now, I don't know why, but recently I've been thinking a lot about failure, and I think that's kind of a healthy thing, to be honest, because, we all kind of fail at some point, but I think more particularly I've been thinking more about how well my channel has been doing recently and how much, I guess, failure, quote unquote, it took to get to that point. For instance, I started doing YouTube in 2012 and I didn't really have any presence, I guess, until like 2017 when I started to first kind of get an audience built around the videos that I was making. So it's just been kind of one of those situations where I've been thinking about how far the channel has come and how far I've come, I guess, and it's weird to kind of contextualize because obviously I made a video just a few days ago where I talked about how I almost quit YouTube all the way back in 2016, literally months before I got my first million view video, which had I just decided that, I was going to listen to the fact that my channel was kind of failing, I probably never would have, I guess, blown up or done anything on YouTube that was worthwhile. So I feel like it's almost conditioned in society to look at failure and be completely afraid of it and to just feel like, people who fail, when you think of them, you think about people who maybe they don't have a nice career or maybe they don't have a nice house or a family or something by a certain age. Or you look at somebody who maybe like an athlete or something lost, right? They lost in the fucking NBA finals or something like that, something that realistically isn't super important to society or anything, but failure is almost, I think, looked at as something that should be avoided at all costs. And I think that that's a very ridiculous mindset that we as a society hold on something that is so inevitable and common. In my situation, it took over 5 years of me failing on YouTube to turn anything out of it. It took half a decade of my life to constantly realize that I was messing up and to find something better. And, you'll hear the success stories of a lot of people who went on to do crazy things, and oftentimes you'll find examples of how they failed, The Wright brothers weren't successful the first time that they tried to fly an airplane. Michael Jordan lost in the playoffs a lot before he ever became a 6-time NBA champion. Elon Musk's company, Tesla, was within basically a few days of running out of money to exist, and it's now got one of the biggest market capitals of any American company. It's the most valuable car company in American history. Society, once again, they look, I think, at failure in particular, and they think that it's something that, you have to work actively to avoid. But the truth of the matter is, just by nature, it's impossible to be successful 100% of the time. Even when you do finally, I guess, break into the situation where you've kind of surpassed your goals, or you finally have done something to kind of, I guess, counter-react constantly failing, you're going to fail after that. I mean, I failed for years to be successful on YouTube, and then I finally am now at that point, but there's still times where I upload a video and it's ranked 10 out of 10 by viewership in my last 10 videos. There's times where I mess up on a video and I make an editing mistake. There's times where I mess up pretty much in all aspects of my life. I mean, I mess up on the stock market. I mess up, maybe when I'm cutting the grass. I mess up my sleep schedule all the time, right? It's important to fail, which I think is something that a lot of people forget, because a lot of the time the initial feeling of just fucking up is just terrible, right? You feel awful about yourself. It hurts your self-esteem a little bit. And for a lot of people, when they feel the very adverse feeling of failure, they just give up on whatever the task is at hand and they decide that it's not worth their time anymore. And if you think about all the times that people have done that throughout history, how many things do you think could have been invented? How many people do you think could have become the greatest at whatever it is that they were chasing had they just stuck with it and not just given up because they failed once? A lot of people seem to have the mentality that you can just jump right into doing something and be excellent at it. That you can, I guess, start, playing soccer today and you're going to be Cristiano Ronaldo, right? It's not possible. It's not likely. I mean, sure, maybe you are a prodigy at something, right? And you're going to fail a lot less often than other people. But this really negative perception of failure in society, I think, has bred a culture where people mess up and they give up. I think that instead of, I guess, making people strive to be excellent and working their ass off, I think has had kind of the opposite reaction, and maybe millions upon millions of people have had failure and then just given up. I look at everything that I have right now, and Had I guess, given into failure, I wouldn't have any of it. And I think that's the case with pretty much everybody. The way that I personally look at failure is almost like stepping stones towards the goal, right? You know, you have to fail. You have to fuck up in order to do something correctly, especially when it's a big goal. I mean, personally on YouTube, I never thought I'd ever get above 1,000 subscribers, and I failed to do that until 2016. Then I was like, great, I have 1,000, but I'll never get to 10,000. And then I got that in 2017. And then I was like, well, there's no way that 100,000 is around the corner, right? And then 2018, I have it. And then now there's a pretty good chance that I hit 1 million subscribers by 2020. I mean, none of that would have been possible had I guess, looking at the failure that I had created and just said, fuck it, I don't want to throw in any more effort. And I think a lot of this really comes from the school system, to be honest. I mean, of course, when you look at especially American culture, perfection is always expected in pretty much everything that you do. You know, you got to be at work every single day. You have to make this much every single day. You have to get this car. You have to have a house. You got to have this kind of family. You know, I feel like that's kind of like American culture in a way, but in the school system, you know, it's almost bred into kids that if you fail in a class that, like, you should feel terribly about yourself, that you should feel worthless, that you should feel less. And I think that that's stupid because, once again, failure is just, it's as natural as carbon and oxygen in all reality. In all reality, it's completely fine to fail. And not only is it fine to fail, it should be expected for you to fail at some point. And even now, right, I still struggle with the idea of failing sometimes, you know? It's not like that once you realize that failure is to be expected, that you immediately just become perfect, that you immediately just stop failing because, you know, oh, I already kind of have the game figured out. No, that's obviously not the case. I just think it really comes down to how you react to failure. Because like I said, a lot of people, they can't understand or tolerate the idea of failing. But then when you look at the people who constantly win in life, they've come to understand that they have failed and will fail again. And they don't react by pouting and pushing the game away and never doing anything again. They react by instead trying again, seeing if they can figure out what they did wrong last time. And that will naturally progress most of the time into you eventually succeeding. So I wish more people looked at it that way, to be honest, because if they did, I feel like there would be a large cultural shift. There would be a big mentality shift as well, I feel like, and a lot more people would be happy. But with all that being said, thank you guys. I mean, what the fuck do I know, right? Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out ShopOpti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, failing and signing out.